Namaskar, welcome back. This week marked 1 year of the ouster of Sheikh Hasina from Dhaka in a violent coup, one of the most towering political personalities of the subcontinent. Since then, an interim administration has been handling things in our easterly neighbor country. Of course, the minorities have had the worst of it in this 1 year, but has Bangladesh gained anything in the past 12 months? In terms of economy, one of its strongest points, in terms of social harmony, and other aspects of normal life. All that in this special episode of Media Scan this weekend. What has Bangladesh gained in 1 year of Sheikh Hasina's ouster? We do have a distinguished panel who will help us understand the nitty-gritties of the subject. But before that, a quick look at this report.
1 year after the ouster of Bangladesh's longest-serving Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on August 5, 2024, due to widespread student-led protests, the country grapples with instability and lawlessness. The interim government has banned Hasina's Awami League party. Minority rights have also taken a major hit, with attacks on Hindus becoming more and more frequent. Human rights violations and attack on journalists have also increased manifold in past 1 year. From August 2024 through July 2025, at least 637 people, including 41 police officers, were lynched in acts of vigilante justice. 51 lynching deaths were recorded in all of 2023. Mob lynching deaths increased 12 times compared to 2023. Hasina earlier issued a statement that said she never resigned and urged Awami League members to continue their struggle for justice, peace and religious harmony.
Not a very encouraging report. However, do let us get on with our discussion. I have here with me in our DD studios, Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner in Dhaka, noted diplomat, author. Namaskar, ma'am. Also joining me, Major General Sudhakarji, Army veteran, geopolitical expert, and our colleague in Kolkata, Prasenjit Bakshi. Welcome, gentlemen. And Ms. Sikri, if I may come to you first. Of course, the minorities have faced the worst of the violence, the brunt of the hate violence that is being reported. And it will please you to know that we have been tracking regularly on Media Scan what happens, within our eastern neighbors' land. But it's clear that those first 2 weeks of violence that was being reported last August, nothing has stopped since then. Every week there are fresh reports. Even this week, there was a renewed spate of violence on minorities, especially individuals in the name of blasphemy, their religious places. How would you rate the past 1 year in Bangladesh vis-a-vis the religious violence and social situation?
Thank you for inviting me. I would say that first and foremost, one has to understand that what has happened in Bangladesh in the last 1 year has been a sham, a scam, because they kept telling the world that this is a spontaneous students' uprising that has actually caused Sheikh Hasina to leave Dhaka. But it was not that. It was a meticulously designed regime change operation, and the people behind this were basically the Jamaat-e-Islami, backed by Pakistan and external countries. And this is actually the reason why this took place. Now, this is actually admitted by Muhammad Yunus himself. Speaking in New York last year in September, he said this is a meticulously designed operation, and he even introduced his own private secretary, who is now an advisor in the government, Mahfouz Alam, as the brains behind the operation. So we have to understand that what actually happened and what was presented to the world were two different things altogether. Secondly, this regime of Muhammad Yunus, this is an unconstitutional regime. It's an illegitimate regime. It has no place in the constitution. There is no scope for a caretaker government in the present constitution. But even if you say that they can change and bring in the caretaker government, even then the role of the caretaker government is, one, to have a neutral non-party government, and second, to organize elections within 90 days. This regime has done neither of the two things. They have included political parties, they have included all the Islamic political parties in the government, including Islami Andolan Bangladesh, then Hizb ut-Tahrir is there, the organization Hifazat-e-Islam is there. So it's not a neutral non-party government. Instead of organizing elections in 90 days, the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the real force behind the whole regime, and Muhammad Yunus is just doing what they wanted. They have gone ahead and brought in reforms, and they also started a massive violent campaign, as you said, which has attacked the Hindus, Buddhists and Christian minorities, also attacked the Sufis and the Ahmadiyyas.
Yes.
And it has destroyed every institution related to the liberation war of 1971 and particularly to the Awami League. So they have tried to destroy the history of Bangladesh. Now,
and the cultural sides.
Cultural ties, history, and launched a scathing anti-India attack, wanting to destroy the relationship with India also. But the most important part, I think, is that the people of Bangladesh have not accepted this government at all.
Okay.
There is great resentment among them because they don't want the memory of the liberation war to be destroyed.
Yes.
They value that. The younger generation who may not have been born when the liberation war took place,
yes.
but they want the memory. It is a great honor for them that they fought for their independence and Bangladesh got independence from Pakistan. They don't want to wipe out that memory. So there's a great resentment. Now, together with all this, trying to destroy the relationship with India, the Bangladesh economy has gone into a complete...
We'll come to that,
Yeah.
ma'am. We'll please hold your thought. We'll come to that as well. But I want to bring in our colleague in Kolkata, Prasenjit Bakshi. Prasenjita, it is very clear from the statistics that while the Hindu minority and to an extent the Christian and Buddhists have borne the brunt of the attacks, it is not limited to them. Journalists have been attacked, intimidated, forced to flee the country in a big number. And also political activists who do not sort of conform to the new regime or are not ready to cower down, they have also been targeted. So basically, except those who are comfortable or ready to toe the Jamaati line, everybody else is on the firing line.
Let me tell you one example. Just a couple of days before, all of our distinguished guests, I think they all know the name of Janakant, one of the leading newspapers, Bengali newspapers of Bangladesh. Suddenly, one fine morning, that newspaper is captured by the pro-government or pro-Yunus force in Bangladesh. Their head office was captured and the entire publication is derailed. So this has happened a couple of days before. So for the last 1 year, systematically, the entire media is destroyed in Bangladesh, who are in the line of, according to the line of the Yunus government, and all of rest are behind the bars. And not only media, the rational thoughts regarding the liberation, regarding the education, regarding the social harmony, all of those voices are suppressed and put behind the bars. This is the achievement of the Yunus government in last 1 year.
I have a quick take here. Is it also not a fact that when there was an effort to take over Dhaka University and other such intellectual centers, there is also a kind of a reaction, a resistance building up, and it has lately been seen that it is not going to be so easy?
Look, Smita, as ma'am was telling, that resistance is there. Absolute resistance is there. Except the initial couple of months, the entire population of Bangladesh, apart from those who are beneficiaries of this civilian coup, everybody is unhappy with this government or with this system. I must not say the government, it is a system. So everybody is unhappy, but somehow with the use of muscle, with the use of other fundamentalist religious forces, these people are still, they are in the ruling chairs. But I don't know whether election will happen in February, as Mr. Yunus is saying, or not, or when a political party, a justified political party is banned in a country, how can an election happen democratically?
Come to that.
That is also a question.
We'll come to the possibility of elections, particularly since Muhammad Yunus has gone on record to talk about it. But allow me to bring in Major General Sudhakarji here, because we must also, be concerned about our own safety. the safety on our borders, the kind of developments that are being reported from Dhaka, Chattogram, everywhere. And these repeated visits of the ISI, if my information is correct, it is not only visits. There is a team of ISI people, their friends and officers who are actually camping in Bangladesh for the last several months. But General Sudhakar, first of all, several dreaded terrorists were let off. They were allowed to walk free. And then there was a reduction in sentences. Clearly, there is a message to India that Bangladesh under this interim administration is not concerned about reining in the terrorists who are a threat to our northeast and the rest of the mainland. How do you look at the developments in Bangladesh in the past 1 year when you look from the standpoint of India's security concerns?
Thank you for taking me for your show, and compliments to our very distinguished co-panelists. You have raised very relevant issues with regard to the national security imperatives. Let me touch upon, there are many issues, but I'll only touch upon the important ones.
Yes.
The first and foremost thing is, immediately after assuming the power, the Yunus government, they had released anti-India terrorists. Let me just give 2-3 names so that people who are tracking the development, they will straight away get the enormity of the danger and the threat to the national security of India. The first name that I have is Jashimuddin Rahmani of the Ansarullah Bangla team. In short, it is called as ABT, who called for jihad in Jammu and Kashmir. The second name I have is Abdul Salam Pintu, was released. He was released from jail after 17 years. Pintu had aided Pakistan-based terrorist outfit Harkut al-Jihad Islami, Huji, carrying out terror attacks against India. The third one is Luftazaman Babar. Smita, you would be aware of it since you were almost got everything on the fingertips. He was released after being arrested for trying to smuggle 10 truckloads of arms via Chittagong in support of the terror organization ULFA, United Liberation Front of Assam. This itself, there are many more. I'm only highlighting the 3 important terrorists who were released. And this itself gives a clear indication as to how the forces were mobilized, which would actually, ramp up the movement against India, building up from the east and moving towards the west. Apart from this, there is another very interesting thing that took place. You have the 4 Brotherhood Alliance in Bangladesh, something on the lines of 3 Brotherhood Alliance in Myanmar. This 4 Brotherhood Alliance, importantly, they are based on Rohingya groups. First one is Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. Second is Rohingya Salvation Organization. Third is Rohingya Islami Mahaz, RIM in short. And the fourth one is Arakan Rohingya Army, ARSA. Now, importantly, this ARSA is led by Harkut al-Yaqini. It's a faith movement. It was trained by Taliban. And the leader of the insurgent group is Atullah Abu Amr Jununi.
No. Are you, General Sudhakar, are you trying to say that all this 4 Muslim Brotherhood, all these operatives, they are operating out of Bangladesh right now? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I'm coming to. The one of them is actually driven and led by ISI. One of them is actually a proxy of Pakistan. That is what I'm coming to. You see, now the Pakistan has invested time, resources, money, and its people being exported from Pak-Afghanistan corridor to Bangladesh in such a way that it is quite evident and clear that they have got some malified intention unfolding by the time ahead. So therefore, it needs to take a call on the issue.
Yes. Fine. Thank you for taking us down all those details. I want to come back to Ambassador Sikri here. Ma'am, it's okay for us to blame Pakistan for everything, and definitely Pakistan has been playing a very sinister game in Dhaka. But isn't it also a point that it would not have come to all this had the international community taken the developments in Bangladesh in a more serious manner, keeping in mind the security concerns of India, the rest of the subcontinent? How do you look at the attitude of the Western world, the global powers vis-a-vis Dhaka?
Well, I think that this is a very important question because even when the regime change operation happened in August last year, at that time itself, the involvement of the Western powers was very clear. It was, Pakistan was a conduit, and it was backed by the USA definitely and other Western powers, and also China was very much in the know because of Pakistan's very close relationship with China. This was exactly the same grouping of countries that had backed Pakistan in 1971. So from 1971, when they lost and when Bangladesh became independent, this grouping of countries seems to have been looking for some form of revenge, and they got it in 2024 when they were able to push out the Awami League Prime Minister who had been there for 15 years, and they came themselves. Now, the control of the media that we just heard about from your colleague in Calcutta, this is very real. Because of this media control, so many journalists have been put in jail, charged with murder. So many have been dismissed, but because of this media...
forced to flee.
Yes, and forced to flee. Because of this media control, the story is not getting out to the West.
Understood.
It's being controlled only within Bangladesh, and the West thinks that everything is okay. Otherwise you have very good organizations like Journalists Without Borders and other groupings in the world who actually follow what's happening to the media. But in the case of Bangladesh, they're being quiet.
These organizations who operate internationally have left people in Bangladesh to fend for themselves.
Absolutely. They are pretending everything is all right, and here is a Nobel laureate who has, controlled the situation, but he has not controlled the situation.
Yes.
He has not been able to give one direction to Bangladesh, one visionary example of what he wants to do. The economy is in a mess, and there's so much violence. We spoke about the violence against minorities, but on a day-to-day life, matter, people are being killed. Awami Leaguers are being killed. Anybody who opposes the regime is being killed in the most brutal manner possible, because Jamaat-e-Islami is trying to install themselves as the big power. Every election they have never got the vote, but now they think that they will get the vote, and they want to bring all the Islamist parties together. And they have formed, a new party has formed called the National Citizens Party, which is the so-called Students' Party. But actually, we know that even though, in August last year, some students...
wasn't NCP the party because of which all that violence was triggered in Gopalganj recently?
Absolutely. They were
one
the
of
ones...
the seats of Hindu culture in Bangladesh.
Absolutely. And Gopalganj is also the place where Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's mausoleum is there in Tugipara.
Yes.
And the NCP wanted to march on that, and maybe desecrate the mausoleum. But the people of Gopalganj and Tugipara, they rose and they said, no, we will not let this happen. Although all the Awami Leaguers had been arrested and sent to jail. But the people, the common man came and resisted the NCP, and then the army fired on them. This has caused a huge furor. And it has really created, it has really turned the people of Bangladesh against because they want to think that they can now get the vote, but they don't have popularity.
Yes, there are several strands coming out of that Gopalganj incident, on which, by the way, we had gone in much detail in one of our episodes. But coming back to Prasenjit Dai here, Dada ma'am was, Ms. Sikri was just referring to how Bangladesh people rose against the cultural invasion of the country, the language issue, and carved out an independent nation for themselves with good enough help from our country as well. But today there is a concerted attempt to wipe out, to demolish, to tarnish, and some way to, sort of deny the cultural roots of the country. All the icons of Bengali culture, all the sites, etc. are being targeted on a daily basis. Not even the army is trying to stop them, which means slowly but surely, under the Yunus regime, Bangladesh is trying to get rid of its Bengali roots and aligning more and more with the ISI-inspired politics.
No, this is very interesting case study, Bangladesh Meta, where since 1971 there was a considerable force who were against the liberation of their own country. That is the mystery, that how this has happened. And they were pro-Pakistani, who were called Rajakar, and the people of Bangladesh, they were trying to punish all those Rajakars who, during the liberation war of 1971, they basically stood by the side of Pakistani army, who did a mayhem in Bangladesh. So, but even then, this type of a so-called revolution, uprising has happened in last year. And after that, the targeted effort, rightly you have pointed out, targeted effort is that Islamization of the entire country and not allowed the country to remain as Bengali country. all the cultural whatever the monuments are there, everything is destroyed related to liberation, and now they have started targeting the monument of Rabindranath Thakur, monument of Satyajit Ray, and monument of other like our freedom fighter Ullaskar Datta. So they are trying to demolish all these remnants of the Bengali culture and liberation of the undivided India, and also the liberation war of East Pakistan in 1971.
Yes,
this is a dangerous attitude, and I think this is a designed, as ma'am was said initially, this is absolutely designed and
scripted.
Pre-designed situation there in Bangladesh.
Yes, point taken, Prasenjit Da. We have very little time left, so I want to touch upon that election issue, at least get a take from all of you here. So very quickly, let us listen into what Muhammad Yunus had to say about elections on the day that on the anniversary of his taking charge.
Now it is time to complete our final responsibility, the national election. On this historic day, after completing this speech in front of you, we will enter the final and the most important chapter of our tenure. Now we will start the process of handing over the responsibilities to an elected government. On behalf of the interim government, I will send a letter to the Chief Election Commissioner requesting that the Election Commission organize the national elections in February 2026 before the next Ramadan.
General Nirvachan Commission.
General Sudhakar, Awami League has already been banned. The BNP, there are repeated demands from the Jamaatis to ban the BNP also. We don't know what is going to happen in the coming days. These are the two most the established political parties of Bangladesh. And looking at the security scenario in the country, are you hopeful that this election in February as proposed by Muhammad Yunus is going to take place on schedule, and whether it will be a smooth, violence-free election?
Smita, you raised a very important question. In fact, I would compliment the previous four panelists, the way they have elaborated on multiple issues. In my opinion, this is a total perfidy of normalcy, or it is a farce which is being projected as everything is okay and stable. As per my inputs which I have got, things are absolutely out of hand. Turkey and Qatar, both these countries are playing a very important role. A few days back, Mr. Yunus had gone on a state visit to Qatar. He met the mother of the Emir there, and he has been successful in securing some commitment from Qatar monarchy for the education of madrasas, investing money in the children's education. One. Number two, they also have a system like the string of pearls of China. You see, Qatar is trying to have, it's called as, I think, string of Bismillah or something. And that means Bangladesh has been chosen as one of the beads where they will be investing money. Turkey is taking help of Qatar in terms of money. The large number of armed forces of Bangladesh people who have been selected, who will be moving to Qatar very soon and will be imparting training to the armed forces of Qatar, as also they will be employed there temporarily. Last but not the least is that the Lal Monir Hat, which is being actually financed by China to be developed into a running and functional airport, is close to the Siliguri corridor. We have Gelefu, we have Jampari Ridge at Doklam, we have another one in Nepal called as Damak, which is in Japa district of our Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal, his constituency. All these places, the matrix is making it extremely sensitive and insecure as far as Siliguri corridor is concerned. As far as the election is concerned, Smita, I am afraid that this is just a farce going on, and no semblance of orderliness will actually lead to a systematic process of electioneering. Back to you.
Fine. I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short here, General Sudhakar. I do want to get a quick take from Ms. Sikri before we wind up. Ms. Sikri, regardless of the fact whether the BNP gets banned or not banned, isn't it a fact that political activists who do not support the current administration are scared? They have either left the country or they are biding their time. And this announcement about elections, how do you look at it?
Well, actually, I must say it is a forced announcement, because actually originally the Yunus regime kept saying that we will have elections only after reforms, and reforms is a very long process and they're not mandated to do reforms. But there was so much
what
pressure.
do you think compelled him to?
I think pressure from the people and pressure even from the army, because the army itself said that we must have election by December 2025. So Yunus announced it for June 26, but under pressure he has brought it up to February. Now the thing is that they don't want elections because the Jamaat-e-Islami has no popular support. They thought now, everybody is Islamist, they will get support. There's no support. The NCP has no popular support. Even the students don't support them. They want to take over the universities. They are being resisted very strongly by that. So as a matter of fact, since there is no support, and it's the traditional BNP and even Awami League which is there, so these people are worried. But from my side and from the world community and from all of us in India, we must insist that free, fair and inclusive elections must be held in Bangladesh at the earliest opportunity, and there must be a new caretaker government, because Yunus cannot be the caretaker chief during elections.
So you mean Yunus regime is not even a caretaker?
No, it's not a caretaker at all. It's not qualified to be a caretaker at all. So they must go, and there must be a new caretaker regime for 90 days and to hold the elections. Free, fair and inclusive elections. So that is very important. This is what the people of Bangladesh want, and this is what all of us must work together to ensure that in Bangladesh there is free, fair and inclusive election. And whoever wins that election, I'm sure they will have very good relations with India. They realize that this break in the relationship between India and Bangladesh is very bad for Bangladesh. Their economy has gone into doldrums and everybody is suffering.
I think that's a good note to end this very, very interesting and engaging conversation with all our guests here. General Sudhakar joining me and Ms. Sikri here in our studios. Thank you so much, Prasanjit.
Thank you.
Thanks for finding the time. Viewers, as all our panelists have pointed out, there can be no rationale for having a government in place for long months which is not elected by the people and does not have the sanction of the electoral system. It is only hoped that Muhammad Yunus keeps his promise and elections are held in Bangladesh so that our neighboring Bangladesh people are able to elect a valid government which will reflect their aspirations and work for the betterment of the country, not to say for better India and Bangladesh relations. On that note, it's a wrap up on this edition of Media Scan. Do join us next weekend with another subject of interest. Till then, namaskar.